Hi there, welcome to another little mini episode of MacGyver's Workshop. Some of my subscribers have been wanting walkarounds and in-depth looks at some American cars, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we'll get right to it because I've got to change the oil on my Mercury Grand Marquis and my 2012 Cadillac, so no better time than the present, I suppose, to get a good look-see at some American iron here. So let me turn the camera around here and get you a look at this Mercury since we're starting on it first. Okay, so this is a 1996 Mercury Grand Marquis. Now, to my friends overseas, you know, this is probably a huge whale of a car, and in many respects it is, but it sure is a nice comfy ride going down the interstate. So let's get a look around the sides and the insides and all that. Okay, so I have it on the lift here right now. I'm getting ready to pick it up and change the oil, but I can squeeze in here. This is it's probably one of the towards the last of you know, America's big iron cars, you know, huge full-size boats, and very, very roomy, both front and rear. A bunch of years ago, somebody stole the stereo out of it, so I never bothered putting it back because it's kind of like our second car, but this is basically the same platform that the police cars were done on, the Crown Victorias, and this is just more of an upscale, more cushy model, a little more sound deadening, softer springs, that sort of thing. And also the same as the Lincoln Town cars, the same, I think they call it a Panther chassis or something, but anyway. And we look at the back, and you know, lots of crap here and there from daily driving, but that's with the seats all the way back. So with that, you know, it could be a little cramped for somebody like me, but for anybody else, there's tons of room back there. And of course, let's pop the trunk. This thing's got a humongous trunk. I mean, it's just, of course, again, a lot of junk and garbage in there, but it's a massive, humongous trunk. Then going up towards the front, we have, which to me isn't very big, but you know, to those of you across the pond, it's probably a humongous engine. It's a 4.6 liter V8, and this is what Ford calls their modular motor, or mod motor as they call them, and it's a single overhead cam and fuel injected, of course. It doesn't make a whole lot of power, but it makes a little bit of torque down at the bottom end, enough to get this car going. So it's you know, it's adequate. You know, you're not going to win any races with it by any means, but it's a nice, comfy car. I mean, it gets along down the road pretty good, especially when you're out on the interstate and you're doing 70 miles an hour and then you punch it. You know, that's where it does good. You know, this is a highway car, so. But anyway, let's get it up in the air and get a look at the undersides of it. Alrighty. That's a long way to the back. This is a big old long car. Now, of course, it's raining outside, so I'll have stuff dripping on me here and there, but you know, there's your catalytic converters. This car has 4 of them. There's one there and one there on both sides. And this 96 was the first year of the OBD2, or Onboard Diagnostics Series 2, and That's the more stringent emission controls built into the car's computer. So the craziest thing about this car is that it keeps throwing the catalyst efficiency codes, which means saying that the catalytic converters aren't doing as well as they should. But you know, they had everything set so strict in the first year. You know, the catalysts could only be maybe 10 or 15% less efficient than they were brand new, and it'll still throw the code. So I'm in no hurry to put $700 worth of catalytic converters on this car. But how they tell that is that, see if I can see it, there's an oxygen sensor right there in front of the main catalytic converter, and then another one in the back, and it compares the readings between the two, and that's how it determines whether this catalytic converter is doing its job or not. So, and sometimes you can get by with changing the O2 sensors out if they get a little lazy as they get old, but I've already done that on this car, so there's no turning back with it. Next step's going to be a set of cats for it. So, but anyway, big old honking coil springs there on the front suspension. It's pretty much, this car's old school. I mean, it's this car's not much different than an old Ford LTD or you know, back in the day. And then there's the automatic transmission. I think they call this a what is it, 4R77W or something. It's a wide ratio, which means the gear ratios are real far apart. So, you know, first gear is real tall, starts off kind of slow and winds out real far, and then it'll shift into second, and then third, and then fourth. So, and a big old long drive shaft, and the rear axle, nothing to write home about. It does have a rear anti-sway bar, which is nice. I mean, this is a lot of car to take around a corner, so you know it will lean. And then the other interesting little bit is that depending on the car, like especially the police cars, the Crown Vics, they were originally designed to accommodate dual exhaust. So in this car, where performance is not really a concern, you know, they take the outlets of the two sides of the exhaust and run it down into one, and then you have the one muffler and then the one tailpipe. Whereas if you ordered this car like with a tow package, or you know, whatever they would imagine to call a performance package on a Grand Marquis, but then you would have true dual exhaust, which would be dualed out all the way back, and you'd have another muffler and tailpipe here that comes out and comes around. So that's pretty much it for this beast. I'm like I said, I'm fixing to change the oil in it, and that's it. So next car, once I'm done changing the oil in this, then I have to change the oil in the caddy out there. So that's its first oil change. So you'll get to see the guts and underside of that. So that's actually, it'll be the first time I've picked that car up on the lift. So since I bought it, that'll be interesting to see, because it'll be my first look at underneath of it too. So anyway, stay tuned. And there you have your underside look of a 1996 Mercury Grand Marquis, some big old hoopty American iron. Okay, so now the oil's all changed and ready to go. I'm gonna go run down to the parts house and get a filter for that one. I've already got the oil. Let's take it for a drive here. You can ride along with me here. And safety first, always buckle up. Alright. Alrighty, let's have a go then, shall we? A little wheel spin there on that wet road, but it sounds nice if you get your foot down into it, but it's really not doing much. Now for part 2 of my American Iron walk-arounds and look-arounds, I'm about to change the oil on my 2012 Cadillac CTS for the first time, and as you can see, it's a very striking looking car. The angular details and the design and all that, and has that very characteristic back end to it that has become synonymous with Matrix fans everywhere. So that's how it's raining. Let me get in here and let's see here. My wife left the seat up, so I'll get in here and I'll pull her in the garage and we'll pick her up and have a walk around on it. Here's the inside of the car. It's nicely appointed. Make no mistake, this is not a quote performance car unquote. However, it is a car that performs well. Now if you want something that'll bring a smile to your face when you drop the hammer on it, then you want to opt for the CTS-V, but that was a little out of my price range. So what I basically have here is a lease return that I got a heck of a good deal on, and you know, compared to, you know, like a Chevy Malibu or Impala or something like that, so I think this car looks nicer. And either way, you're going to be stuck with a weenie V6, so you know, you might as well have a car that suits your personality better, and that's kind of how I am. I like the looks of this car. I know some people love them, some people hate them, but I think it's a good looking car. So, and it's really not a bad car. It's very like I said, it's comfortable. You know, it doesn't handle that particularly well, but it's got the, you know, those hard Michelin tires on it, so you know, it's not, I wouldn't expect it to, but for an everyday driving car that has a little bit of panache to it, you know, I'm happy with it. And it has a relatively nice radio. Like I said, this car doesn't have any of the major options, so I've got just the basic stereo, nothing fancy, single disc changer. So I went ahead and put a subwoofer in the back to kind of bring the bottom end up a little bit. So it's got just a little bit nicer sound than what you would expect. Anyway, let's get inside and see what this thing looks like. Okay, so now we got her up in the air. And I'm going to take a walk underneath here. And as I said, it's got a 3-liter V6 in it that makes they say it makes 270 horsepower. Now it, in my opinion, I think it probably makes that at a very high RPM, because the engine doesn't have much along the line of torque, at least not what I'm used to anyway. I guess I'm just too old school. I like that tire shredding big block V8 torque, but Anyway, as far as for, a daily driven car, this is more than adequate. So, and then it has a dual exhaust coming back to a resonator, and then from out of there it's just a single exhaust on this one. It could be had with a dual exhaust, but this one's just a base model, like I said. And it's got a fully independent rear suspension in the back, which is pretty darn interesting the way it's set up. That explains why, the people that drive these cars hard, I don't, but when they drive them hard, they say they handle and corner pretty well. Now, mine isn't going to handle or corner very well with just the Michelin old people tires on it, but I could see this thing doing pretty good with a nice wide set of sticky meats on it. And not a posi though, no posi, sadly, but it will it gets the job done. And it has a 6-speed automatic transmission. I wish it would kind of shift a little firmer, but that's just my personal preference. And other than that, it's just it's a pretty nice little car. I say it's got the Michelins on it. They're Michelin HX or MX4s. They're kind of not really a performance tire, but they're designed to last well and still provide good traction. Then you can see where it's got, they put a lot of thought into the aerodynamics of the car. It has everything covered up underneath here to direct the air where they want it to go. So there you have it. It's my 2012 Cadillac CTS. I'm about to change the oil in it, and I'll be done for the day. It's been such a nasty, ugly, rainy weekend. So, but it was a good day to get some car repairs and maintenance done that's been hanging out there needing to be done. I had to get a lot done here today, so today was just soon a good day to do it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and all my friends overseas there, I finally got around to giving you a good look-see at American cars and underneath of them, and that's what we got. Next time I put my truck up in the air, I'll do one for it too. So anyway, again, thanks for watching, and we'll talk at you next time.